What is going on, Sabres fans, and welcome to another episode of the Sabres Spotlight podcast, where we shine a light on all things Sabres hockey. Ryan, what's going on?
What up? What up, dude? What a weird time to be talking Sabres. Let's start off with that. I'm sitting here thinking about starting the episode with you, and I'm just like, it's a weird time to be a Sabres fan right now.
It is. It is a weird time to be a Sabres fan right now. And also, I was just logging on to see when we last recorded, and it looks like we gained a follower like a couple days ago. So shout out to that person. Welcome to the show. So that's pretty
Cool.
sick. But I agree. It is a weird time. It looks like we last recorded on January 14th. So it's been like 3 weeks or so,
Yep.
since we recorded last. Yeah, pretty much 3 weeks. And it's been in a wave over that time. We have won four in a row, but there's been a lot
Doesn't
of
really
shit.
feel like it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. And there's been a lot of shit that's going on, a lot of shit we want to talk about on today's show. We're not going to really recap any of the games. For those of you who watch, and if you're listening to the show, you know what's going on. So we're going to get right into, I think we have to start off with the most recent thing that happened that everyone's been kind of blowing up about, and that's the Tage hit against the Devils. So the third period, early on in the third, Tage takes an elbow. I think it was an elbow, right? He got caught up high.
Yep.
Either way, elbow to the face, whatever, and gets laid out. Find out later that he's got a concussion, misses the next game, and likely like questionable for the game this Saturday against Nashville. But we had our initial emotional responses, of course. Now that you've had time to kind of digest and things, what's your response, or what are you feeling about the hit, and then the, of course, lack of response afterwards?
Well, I mean, the hit was bullshit. Stefan Noesen is a tough guy, and he kind of went up high and got him in the head, and Tage missed the next game with concussion symptoms, so, it was clearly not a great hit. But their response was even worse because there was no response. I mean, I don't know what's worse, the fact that there was no response or like the excuses from the team, like in the days afterwards. The guy that I was most mad at, I think, was Matthias Samuelsson because he's a defenseman, so he's retreating into our own zone. He can clearly see what happened, and he does nothing. If you're 6'4" and you got an A on your sweater, and you don't do anything when your best player, one of your best players, actually, it shouldn't even matter. Like the
I
best
can't believe
player,
he has an A.
the best player thing is like for effect because it just makes it worse. But if that was like Peyton Krebs laying on the ice, or like Sam like Lafferty on the ice, like I would want someone to step in there too. Like it was just a bullshit hit. Doesn't matter if it's Tage or anyone else. But he did nothing. Jason Zucker, respectable veteran, like been around the league a long time. He kind of said, "Well, we didn't see it. We didn't see what happened." Well, in that case, dude, your Tage is laying on the ground, like face down. Like just
Yeah,
grab somebody. Grab
yeah.
somebody. So I'm still disappointed. Like days later, but I don't know. How do you feel about it?
It's an interesting. Well, let's set the scene here. Who do we know was on the ice? It was Power and Samuelson, defenseman, right? And
Zucker
then
and I
was it
think
Kulik, right?
Kulik. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So it's I my I've we've talked about this a little bit. My the things I keep coming back to is because that was what a lot of the team said afterwards, and I think I think even Lindy kind of said after too in his press conference that, oh, we didn't know, what happened, and there was a lot of, Samuelson was the one who said in his interview that, like, oh, there was a lot of confusion on the play, and guys were kind of scrambling, and I'm thinking to myself, like, if that's the excuse you're going with, like, that doesn't make any sense because, like, hockey is such a fast-paced game. You can watch any other team on any other night, and there's no confusion there because teams aren't looking for confirmation that something bad just happened.
Yeah.
It's like if your guy gets a big hit. I mean, half the time teams are responding to just good checks, but
Right.
a guy
Yeah.
gets
Like
labeled
the
and
cleanest hits.
the cleanest of hits, but their guy still comes over and at a bare minimum just grabs them and starts a scrum or gets a couple punches in. So it's like the fact that they were saying that there was confusion and needed to confirm that something dirty actually happened in my mind just doesn't make any sense whatsoever because literally no other team does that. And why would
No.
you need that?
Yeah, like I said, like he's on the ice, dude. He got he's laying face down, injured. Like at that point, like something happened. Even if you let's say like I don't know if this is like a real thing, but like let's say some like they're scared of like Stefan Nason. Like he was kind of being a bitch like all game. Like that his antics probably should have been addressed at some point like prior to that hit. Like he was running guys. I think he's the one that knocked Zucker down when he scored. Like he was just kind of like, being a little rat out there. And that's his game, and he's good at it. And he's the one that throws that hit. And I don't know if they were like afraid of something, but what did you think about? I have a question for you. What did you think about Lindy saying post game that he had, a couple guys on the bench that wanted to do something about it?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they probably did, but like does it matter? Like all that matters is what actually happens. Like you can say
Yeah.
all you want afterwards. You can have Gilbert go and fight, the at
Oh my
the
goodness.
next game after at puck drop. I forget who it was now, who we were playing, but
Dude, Columbus, he fought Olivia. He
yeah,
fought
yeah.
the toughest guy in the league. Like,
But
props to him. Oh my God. Number one, shouldn't have had to do it in the first place. But like number two, literally the toughest guy in the league.
yeah. So like I don't know, man. It's just you can go and do all those things, but at the end of the day, it's like we've said with pretty much every other thing about this team. Like actions speak so much louder than words at the end of the day, and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that nobody did anything, it's like I think that's what upset fans more afterwards because they won the game, but nobody gave a shit because everyone like I don't know, man. Like this is Buffalo, like we're supposedly the city of good neighbors, and we are, but like that's what we want to see from our hockey team too. Like, look at the Bills. Everyone loves the Bills because they're good, but also because they're a reflection of our community and how much they have each other's backs and how much they
Yeah.
do in the community. And you can just see that that teamwork and that love and appreciation for the fans and everything back. It's like you don't get a sense of that with this team in a lot of different avenues. And when you see something like this, fans could care less about those 2 points that they were seemingly so concerned about because all they saw was that their guys didn't give a shit about their best player who we all love. And I
Finally,
I don't know.
he's a fan favorite, like you said. We love him.
Yeah, it's just really frustrating, man. So him saying that afterwards really did nothing for me. Like I couldn't have cared less. I told you when they were talking about the fact that they didn't want to lose or they're trying to go on a run and well they didn't say specifically that they're going on a run but knew they were winning at the time and they didn't want to lose a guy or risk the 2 points. I told you you have 82 chances at 2 points. Like you have many chances to get 2 points and you fucked that up many times on your own this year just by your play itself. So you have just as much of a chance to lose that game with 4 minutes left by just playing hockey the way that the Sabres play hockey, as opposed to actually like sticking up for your guy, which you probably only have a handful of chances to do every single season. So like just go and do it. I don't know. That stuff should be innate to them.
Oh yeah.
It should be a reaction, but
You
it's not.
shouldn't like even if you're the softest guy in the league, like there should be like a switch just flips inside you. Like that's your brother like laying on the ground like that or like and it's weird because when guys on this team have gotten hit, Tage has stepped in.
Yeah.
Tage fought. Who did he fight? Kevin Miller, I think. He used to play for Boston. He's retired now, but he at the time was like a tough motherfucker. Like you do not fight that guy. And Tage, I think he stepped in for Casey. At one, this was it might have been the COVID year. He stepped in for Casey. He got fed his lunch, but hey, he stepped in and did his job. How many times has Darlene? was it earlier this year maybe, or maybe it was last year? I think Quinn might have gotten bumped, but it definitely wasn't this year because it was TJ Oshie and he's retired. But we were playing Washington, and Quinn or Paterka, one of those younger guys, got bumped at the end of a period, and Darlene came over and leveled him, and it started
Yeah,
like a whole thing.
Darlene will always
So
do it.
like, so like, your best two players are the
And Peyton
ones that,
Krebs does it.
yeah, because he's a dog, he's got a dog.
Yeah.
But if your best two players are like doing it on a consistent basis, like that switch flips for them, why doesn't it switch for you? Like it was just so disappointing, dude. And I mean, it just got picked up nationally, and that's just embarrassing because it's just like another reason to be embarrassed to be a fan of this team and franchise. And we had a little bit of a fallout on that with this because I'm gonna read Elliot's 32
Hang on,
thoughts.
before you get to that, just because I want to, this won't take long. I know what you're going to get to, and that's good because I wanted to go there next. But realistically, you don't need like you need to have each other's back, but you don't need 22, 23 guys that are all gonna get in a scrap. But
Yeah,
I
no,
think you do need more than the Sabres have right now, and you have. I mean, realistically, on this team right now, who does that? I would say Tage, Darlene, Krebs, Clifton. Like if like
yeah,
that's probably your four people who are actually gonna like step in and do something. Like you're not getting that from Power. You're just not. He's not a tough guy. He hasn't shown the ability to be physical. Samuelson, you're not getting that from him either. Samuelson, like I feel like it's kind of just like a faux tough guy. Like I don't think there's anything tough about him. So like I don't know, man. It's just you only have a few guys that are going to step in and do that, and you probably need a couple more. But I don't know. We'll see what
yeah.
they
I
do.
mean, you didn't say Gilbert, but it's not like he plays
Oh,
every night.
Gilbert, yeah, yeah,
He
for sure,
doesn't,
Gilbert,
you know. But
exactly.
do we really need guys that'll step in though? Like, how hard is it to just like,
No,
you know,
but I think I think you probably need a couple more just like Rob Ray type guys, not guys that are going to go out there and do what Rob Ray does, but just guys that are going to be like just a presence, like some more of a physical presence. Because I think they thought they had a couple more guys with Power and Samuelson, but they don't. Like those aren't guys you can count on to do that.
right?
So cross
Yeah,
them off the list. Like they're not giving you that. They're not providing you that. I don't think they will.
the whole thing just sucks. I mean, it doesn't happen in this sport specifically. Like, your guy gets hit, you step in. Like we see, a lot of people were downplaying it on social media. They're like, oh, that's not the league anymore, blah blah blah. And then in the same night, like I think Petrangelo got lit up by Will Coyle from New York, and then the Knights stepped in for him, and then I think another. I'm not sure the two other teams, but someone else got labeled, and the team like stepped in without even thinking, and it's like
Yeah,
it's not that hard, man. Like you don't even
there's
have
a
to throw
reason that
punches.
these national podcasts were talking about it because it's an anomaly because
Yeah, it's an
it doesn't
embarrassment.
it doesn't happen the way it happened for the Sabres because what should naturally happen is what every other team does and just sticks up for their guys. So
Yeah. So today, Elliot had his little third two top thoughts column, and we're getting close to the trade deadline. We're getting close to like Four Nations tournament. So I was interested to see what he had to say, and he did bring this up, and he said that a player on another team said he heard from a friend that is on Buffalo that there was talk of the leadership group and/or alternate captaincies being switched over when no one addressed the Tage Thompson hit. Who was on the ice that wears a letter on his shirt on his sweater? Matthias Samuelson.
yeah,
So
he's on his way out the door.
if it makes any sense to me, then they're stripping that from him or, having a conversation with him. But that buyout, they have to buy him
I
out.
don't
Like
think he's going to survive the season. I think
buy
they're
him
going to
out or
trade him.
trade him.
Yeah,
Some team can look at his contract and be like, all right, that can be like a cheap,
yeah.
defenseman. But like, I don't know how you can come back from that. You know,
I don't. I mean, I shit like this I can see like really pissing Lindy off. So like, and Lindy has a lot of pull in that organization right now. So I just don't think that I don't think Samuelson's played good on the ice. So you would want to get rid of him anyways, just because he's been a total liability on the ice, and he really doesn't. I mean, he really doesn't provide you much there, other than like the occasional shot block. But other than that, he gives you nothing. And this could have just been kind of the straw that broke the camel's back when it comes to him. At this point in time, I'd be willing to bet that he doesn't last until the end of the season. I think they want to move him, and I think they're going to try to move him. And that could have been what they're talking about, because I don't think they're talking about Cousins. I mean, you could strip an A from Cousins too, because he's been terrible, and
Because he
I
forgot how
don't.
to play hockey.
Yeah, he forgot how to play hockey, and I mean, I don't know, man. It's just he's been a total disappointment this season. Do I think they're going to trade him? Possibly, they could, but I think Samuelson's probably the guy they move more than
Yeah.
anything.
I mean, if Samuelson does survive the season, we've talked about it before, but his buyout number is very cheap. I mean, it's 700K for the next, I think, 6 or 7 seasons. Like that's peanuts,
Yeah,
especially with the cap going up to. Have you heard anything about the cap? Because it's going up.
I don't have the specifics written down here, but I know it's like an escalating thing over the last 3 years. I listened to Matt and Chris talk about it on their show, but that's pretty much it.
By 2027, I think it's projected to be at 113 million dollars. So like the 700K buyout is going to be like chump change for, hopefully, well, maybe not for the Sabres because they operate on a budget.
Yeah, seriously. Well, we can. That's something I definitely want to touch on, either this episode or within the next couple episodes. But so here's 7.5 next season. It's going up 7.5 next season, 8.5 million in 26, 27, and then 9.5 million the following season. So
Cool.
over the next 3 years, the salary cap's going to go up. What's that? 18, like 25.5 million dollars over the next
Yeah,
over the
that's
next
incredible.
three seasons, which
It just goes to
is
show how
crazy.
hockey is growing,
Yeah,
at like a rapid pace. So I was going to bring this up too. So McDavid's due for a contract next year.
that's a good time.
Oh, he might be the NHL's first $20 million player.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Like
good.
like the way it's
Like
going up.
the contract landscape is totally changing.
Yeah, it's going to be like all these guys that like like the Tages and even like the Cousins and stuff like that sign their long-term deals. They got to be like, fuck, dude, like that sucks because they could have got way more money.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you mad for like the guys right now that like are gonna get more money, but I kind of don't deserve it.
Yeah, like someone's going to get an albatross of a deal that like only because the cap is going up.
Yeah, seriously. But all right, we can wrap up on this here. I do the one last thing I want to talk about on this segment here is just what you thought about Lindy's comments after the game when he was asked. I think it was Matt Beauvais who asked him about how the public might perceive that as a lack of response, and it sounds like he said, well, he definitely said bullshit, and I think he was referring to the question
Yeah, he
and
was.
trying to deflect that. But then he subsequently asked the very next question he's asked, if Noesen was out of the game, then how would you respond? And he goes, well, pick somebody else then
Yeah,
and go
right.
after them. And I asked Mike Harrington for clarification on this, because doesn't that not make sense to you?
No, it makes total sense to me.
To me,
You
that's
fucking
contradictory. So how
you
can you
fucking
say,
grab Jack Hughes and you pummel his fucking face into the ice.
well, yeah, but how can he say it's bullshit that the guys are being perceived that way, but then say you have to grab
Oh,
somebody
okay. I
else?
didn't
Like they
understand what
didn't
you were
do either
asking.
one of them.
I didn't understand what you're. He's running cover, dude. That's all that he like I said like I told you in those texts when I was like mad. He's just running cover for his team. He's making up any excuse to like take the heat off them and put it on him, which is like what any good coach would do.
I guess, yeah.
But like he's just running cover for them because they had no answers and he knows they had no answers.
Yeah, it was just weird to hear it, because
Yep.
he was so like vehemently denying the fact that, oh, we didn't let that go, like we didn't know what was going on,
Yeah.
we didn't need to address it. But then he, like, in the very next question, he was like all revved up saying like, oh, well, then you just grab somebody else, then I don't care. I'm like, like those don't even make sense. Those contradict
Yep.
themselves. And
Yep.
I don't know, I didn't get clarification. Nobody else really seemed to
No, I don't think anyone really. I mean,
point it out too much. But
everyone was just mad about the situation, which they should have been. But I Lindy, dude, It's just what
We
is he
can get a
supposed to
little.
say?
We can get a little Lindy talk in here.
What is Lindy supposed to say to the media? Like my guys are pussies? Like he's not going to say that, you know. So he's kind
Well,
of
I
in a
think
no-win situation.
I think also what it comes down to, like I think in this scenario, like I would have loved it to kind of like be a little bit more like, because this was kind of a big thing. I would have liked for him to be like a little bit more straight up about it, even though
You know
I'm
who?
sure he probably was in the media room. But I
You know who
think,
would? Paul Maurice would get up there and be like,
oh yeah,
"My guy's got to grow a set of balls."
yeah. I mean, he'd tell him right
Basically.
on the bench there.
Yeah, right.
You'd have
Right.
boom mics
You
picking it
just
up right on the bench.
right, yeah. So it does actually, now that we're like just like hashing it out here, it does make me a little bit more disappointed that Lindy wasn't like fully addressing it and like
Yeah, I don't
being
know.
honest.
Part of me wonders if like he's been kind of hard on the guys like this season. Like he's definitely in post games, like he's pointed out mistakes and he said we got to get better at this, we got to get better at this. So at some point, maybe you have to, if he's feeling he's not getting results and he's trying to kind of change that up a little bit, like maybe I got to support these guys a little bit more because what I'm doing isn't working right now. So, but this I don't know. Maybe you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, but I think this could have been a good time to just be like, yeah, my guys didn't do what they needed to do there, and it's
Right.
not
Well,
acceptable. Like, I don't know.
maybe maybe the anonymous player poll player was right, and Lindy just doesn't have it anymore, and he's too old.
Or you should probably elaborate on that.
So the Athletic had a cool poll. They do this every year, where like uh they'll interview like anonymous players, let's say like 100 anonymous players, and just like rate things that are like worst arena, best arena, where would you want to play, where do you not want to play, which coach do you not want to play for. And I think Lindy, so dude, John Tortorella got 40% of the vote for like coach that they don't want to play for, and Lindy was, I think, fourth. And they had little blurbs under
How
the
many
thing.
votes are these? Is in this poll?
I think 100 players got uh interviewed.
Yeah.
So the little blurb under, which definitely made me think it was like a former Lindy player that like didn't really pan out, like in New Jersey. Alex Holtz, I'm talking about you, buddy. I'm talking about you because you definitely said this. He was like, um, yeah, Lindy's just old and he doesn't have it anymore.
Just old.
He just doesn't have it, and I got a friend on Buffalo that told me, most of the time he has no idea what he's talking about.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Like,
gosh.
oh my god, that's so funny. Like,
I don't
I
believe
feel
that.
bad.
I don't believe that at all.
I feel bad for Lindy because he's Lindy, but he can't survive this season, dude. He just can't.
But this is where we have differing opinions here. So
I know.
how much blame are you putting on Lindy? Because I'm not putting a lot of blame on Lindy
I
if I'm
mean,
being
it's the
honest with you.
organizational, ghosts that are haunting this this town. But I think I love Lindy, and I just think we just need like a complete clean slate. He just anything to do with the past in this organization just needs to be wiped away, and we just need to start clean. That's all.
It's it's kind of it's kind of tough though, man, because like I mean, if you rewind, 6 months, like I know a lot of people didn't want Lindy hired. I mean, hell, he wasn't even our top picks when we laid out our coaching
Right.
rankings back in the summer. But you make the move. I get there's pass there, but I mean, there's no denying that he brings pedigree to the locker room, and it just feels like to me that if you don't have Lindy, who else are you getting in Buffalo? Like you're probably not getting a big fish. I would have loved T Mac, and he's tearing up in Detroit, and that really
Yep.
pains me to see. But I just really doubt that you were getting a top coach. And
Didn't even try. That's the problem. They didn't even try.
I think you're right. I think you're right. But maybe Kevin did try it, and he just wasn't getting a lot of interest from it. I don't know. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying like if Lindy wasn't here before and there wasn't that history and you just hired him, like it's like a pretty good hire
Right.
if there's not that pass there. So I really think it's just more on the players at this point, and just like you said, needing a clean slate, I think we just really need some new players, man. I don't think any coach is going to come in and get it done with this crop that we have. I know that I think part of it is they are the youngest roster in the league. Like that really just does matter. They just still make mistakes, and Lindy's trying to implement his system, and it takes some time to do that. And I don't know. There's just a lot of shit going on where I have a hard time just thinking like, oh, Lindy doesn't know what he's doing. If his message isn't getting through, well, it didn't get through from Don last year. Don was totally spot on when he was talking about these kids' psyche and not being like, I don't know, man. I just imagine coming to work every day as Lindy and you got this team that you don't know how to get through, and then you have an awful boss too. It's just kind of terrible. Like,
Yeah, it's you can't blame him like 100%. Like I'm not saying that, but I don't know.
but do
I
you think
just
they're doing
he
tactfully things wrong too? Like from a coaching standpoint, like do you see like things on the ice that
well, it's
would
the same
point to
mistakes.
blaming
Like
him?
the point of hiring Lindy was that he was gonna teach them to not make the mistakes, and the mistakes are still happening. So it's like, what are we doing here? Like, was it really worth it? Like, it's kind of just not really working out for anyone. Like, and the two guys that were probably the most important to this build of team, not named Todd, Tage, or Darlene, were Cousins and Quinn, and they're arguably having so like horrible of seasons that they're both like likely getting shipped off the roster.
Yeah, but like
So
Cousins
I
was
don't know.
bad last year, and
He was
Quinn was
bad.
all
He
injured
was.
last year.
Yep.
So
So yeah.
it's tough, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Lindy has lost it. I think it. I have a hard time believing that like he's not teaching these guys how to play the right way or like how to play responsible hockey, and they couldn't learn how to do it last year, and they haven't learned how to do it this year. And it's like,
No, you're totally right though. They need new players. I mean, but do you trust Kevin Adams to be the guy to build the roster?
no, absolutely not.
So
Absolutely
neither do
not.
I. Neither do I. And he's going to be the one to make this Dylan Cousins trade and whatever else he does. So
Oh my
I'm just
gosh.
scared now at this point.
Do you have a guess where the Sabres have played 53 games this year?
Yep.
They're 22, 26, and 5. Do you have a guess what their record was last year through 53 games?
You said they're 22, 26, and 5 right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Last year they were 20, 27, and 4. No, the math is bad there. But they had
Well,
20,
let's just say
26.
that's it's hard to do that math in your head.
The
Like,
same.
so
They
do you
pretty
think more points, less points, or same?
less, but like by 2.
So they actually had more points last year.
Oh my
They
God.
were 23, 26, and 4. So
Literally
they
like
had
the same fucking record.
one more point at this point in the
Jesus.
season
Jesus
last
Christ.
year with Donnie
Oh my God.
Meatballs.
Oh my God. Yeah, I figured it was like the same. Didn't it like all throughout this whole year, didn't it feel like exactly this like we were running the same year back? Like over like I have felt like it has been the same year as it was last year. Just you know.
The it is the it's the 13 game streak, man.
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
is so frustrating though, and that's why I'm gonna keep pounding the table for Lindy because I know you had that 13 streak and that happened. You can't forgive that. I was on this show talking about how about halfway through that streak I started to put that more on the players because after a while you just got to buckle down and get a win. You can't let that happen. That team wasn't that bad. And outside of that 13 game win or that 13 game lose streak, you're what? You're 22, 13 and 5 in your other games. Like,
dude, if they let's say they won 3 games in
yeah,
that area, that's an extra 6 points. Give them 6 points. Where would they be right now in the wild card race?
they're at 55 points. They'd be like 6 points out.
So like pretty much out, but like it'd be closer.
Yeah.
Like it just sucks, dude. It's
Well,
just
no.
wild that like
So if you're only giving them 6 points, you're giving them 3 wins.
3 wins, yeah.
Yeah, three out of 13.
Yeah, just like they nicked like 3 there. Like they lost 4, they
All right,
won
I was
1, they
thinking
won.
50-50. Even if you
Okay,
give them 50-50, say you give them 6 wins, that puts them
that's
up to
12 points.
that puts them up to 61 points, and I think that's wild card two right now. It's like you're right back in it. And that was what they did last year. The problem last year was win one, lose two, win
Yep.
one, lose three. Like they've shown the ability this year to win four in a row, to win three in a row, to win three in a row. They've done that multiple times this year. It's just that big streak that just whatever was going on, and we won't know what was going on during that time frame, but that's the mental fragility, the psyche that Don was talking about. And that's why I truly, truly think if they I don't trust Kevin Adams to do this, but if somehow he can just get the right pieces in here and make something happen at this deadline, I honestly still don't think this team is that far off from not necessarily being a good team, but from just like making the playoffs. Like
Being
I think
Ottawa.
that exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree with you. That's the fucking stupid part.
I'm not
I
saying it's going to happen this
dude,
year because they could win another 8 in a row right now. They could get to a win 12 and they'd probably still be a couple points out
yeah.
of the playoff spot. So it's not going to happen. They'd have to like win 4 out of 5 the rest of the season and whatever. It's not going to happen this season. But if I'm just holding out hope that they can identify the right pieces to move on from that are not helping the locker room, that are continuing to create this poor culture. Move on from those pieces, bring in the right guys like you did with Zucker. You finally got one. I don't know. I think it can happen and it can happen quickly, but they just have to make the right moves. I just don't know if I trust Kevin Adams to do it.
The Sabres, here's where we're at. The Sabres are second. Well, I don't know. There were games played between the time I saw this, so they could have dipped. Um, but the Sabres are second in goals per 60 minutes in the entire NHL. Second in the league in 5-on-5 goals per 60 minutes, which is how is that possible? How could you be so bad but be one of the very best teams at scoring 5-on-5? I don't
Yeah.
understand, dude. I don't get it. Like special teams ruined us again for like the seventh year in a row.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Here's
so
another thing
speaking
I
of
was thinking about today. Do you
yeah,
think, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what you were just saying about the even strength scoring and things. The Sabres have gotten off to strong starts this
yep,
season because of their 5-on-5 scoring.
they
I
get a
feel
lead.
like they're really not a team that draws a lot of penalties and they're on the kill a lot. So they're getting these leads by 5-on-5 scoring. Do you think that their hot starts are more that like the Sabres doing, or do you think it's more like teams coming in against them being like, all right, it's the Sabres, and then they're kind of like, all right, guys, like we're down after a period, like this is the Sabres, let's go and beat them. Like I
I
don't know.
mean, maybe, but it happens like almost every night where like we're getting in the jump on team. So I kind of think we're just a good 5-on-5 team.
Yeah, I
At
mean,
least a good.
I
A,
think so too, but I had that thought today. I'm like, it could just be teams are like this, like the Sabres are a
It's
mess.
point
Like
night, boys. We're playing Buffalo.
let's get our apples in.
Yeah, let's get a bunch of Genos, a bunch of apples. We'll come out of here 5-2 and we'll go home. That's pretty much what they're saying.
It's point night, bruv. Yeah, I mean the Sabres are. Where do you think the Sabres rank in goals for in the
In the
Eastern?
whole league,
No, no, no. In the
in the
Atlantic
Eastern
Division.
Conference.
Let's just do
Oh, in our
in
division,
the division.
like probably fourth.
Third.
Okay. Yeah, they're top half. I knew they were top half. So like in the whole league, they're probably like, middle of the pack, like 16th, which is like that's great. That's totally fine.
Yeah, I got it right here. So they're yeah. I would. I mean, I'm looking at it real quick, but they're probably like 12th in goals
Yeah.
for.
That's fucking hilarious. That's so fun. That's like it's so ridiculous. It makes no sense.
And but obviously their defense goals against is what kills them. They're like seventh from the
Yep.
bottom.
Yeah,
With
because
goals
they're so
against,
bad on the penalty kill, and
and their goaltending has been suspect.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, Reimer's like we were talking about the other day. He's like 2-6. Levi has come up and not played good, and UPL's been inconsistent. So goaltending has really cost them, a lot too, this
yeah.
season. But all right, going
So
to Kevin Adams. You all right? Go ahead. You want to say?
I was gonna say because you brought him up, we need to re-sign Jason Zucker.
Oh yeah, okay. We can get some Zucker talk in here. To
Yeah.
quote Joe Marino, I think it was Joe Marino from a couple months ago, when he was saying, "Don't be a sucker, sign Jason Zucker."
Oh, he said that, huh?
Yeah, that was a nice little quote from him.
It's it's the one we've been looking for this guy. But I will say, if a team is giving you a first round pick at the deadline, you gotta trade him. Like, thank you. See ya. It's fine. But if your
I don't
team's
know.
a good team,
I think I reversed my
I'm
thoughts on
team.
that.
I'm like 98% like sign him. Like they give him 3 years, give him $15 million, and call it a day. That's
Yeah,
what I'm.
it might
That's what I'm
take even
thinking.
more than that. You might have to go up to like $18 million,
Well,
like six per, especially with the cap. But just because the cap going
yeah,
up,
the
like
cap's
I
going up
guess
too. Yeah,
that's
so
the
it
thing.
like
You
really
have
doesn't
to,
matter.
yeah, because there's that the floor is higher now too, and the Sabres are going to have to get there. So, you know, but
Yeah, I'm
I
on board.
I know
I'm
we
on
talked
board.
about it before about how like same kind of thing. Like if someone comes a knocking, like and they're offering you a first round pick, like you should take it. But now I'm thinking to myself, like, man, like he's just so integral to what you're doing here, and he's definitely like the leader that you wanted from like Okposo and some of these guys in the past. So like, and he's having success here. Like it's very hard to find guys that can come here and be successful. And if he's doing it, I think you got to try and keep him in the building for sure.
So I want to bring up something else from that athletic article that kind of really interested me, and it goes to like uh what we're talking about, like keeping an older veteran player here that has been here and has says he loves it here too. He said he wants to stay. That's another thing.
Yeah,
So
I think I believe him
a
when he
lot of
says that.
guys, when they talked about like places that you don't want to go or like you'd be disappointed in getting traded to, obviously we were on the list, but the things that players were saying had nothing to do like with the city. Like you know how Kevin was like
Yeah,
the
exactly.
whole palm trees and taxes and stuff. No, they were basically just like I don't know if it would be right for my career because I'm, a young player and I'm just starting out and I want to be on a winning team. And I think someone else said that like I would go there now because I have a family and it's a great place. Like, dude,
Yeah,
Buffalo
yeah,
has a like the city itself and playing hockey here is good for the NHL hockey players.
yeah, absolutely.
Great fan base too. Dude, we're out of the playoffs for 14 years, and here we are. We have a fucking podcast that probably like a couple hundred people listen to, a couple hundred people, and we're just like one small section of the Sabres fan base where like there are podcasts with thousands and thousands of listeners, and like
hmm
we're always loud. Um, the arena this year I have noticed has been filled out a lot more. Maybe not like on a random Tuesday shitter game, but like dude, the Friday Saturday nights in the arena are filled. Like
hmm
they're doing a decent job at filling the arena for this crappy team. So like the fan base is still there. Players recognize that. It's a great place to raise your family. And so I didn't know this until the last Sabres broadcast. But so Dustin Brown uh, played for LA. He won multiple Stanley Cups with them. Great guy. Literally, his wife helped start the LA Junior Kings, the girls team. They moved here. They live here now.
hmm
And just Dustin Brown coaches I think it might be like the under 12 girls team. So this is an area for like hockey to be like you can settle down here, raise a family, have them play hockey, and it's good for you. Like
Oh yeah,
it's not the city, it's the team, and the team has a terrible reputation. It's the owner, but I honestly feel like if they start just like even winning a little bit, guys will want to
yeah.
come here.
Winning
So I
changes everything.
I don't think it has anything to do with the weather or the taxes or the city. It's just the team. So that is a huge like positive for us.
I'm not gonna clap because it's gonna be really loud in my microphone. But dude, that was bang on, man. Just well said.
Yeah, it gave me a little bit of a reason for optimism. Like obviously, if we're like if like 23% of making up a percentage, 23% of the players are saying that we're on the no trade like their no trade list. I think it was like Winnipeg, 50% of the players said
That's
Winnipeg was their
crazy,
number
dude.
one team on their no trade list, and they're first in the league. That's insane.
Yeah,
And
that's
we were second.
crazy.
And we were
But it was
second
only
with like
like 12% or like
yeah.
19% or something. Like it wasn't like I was kind of like I saw that percentage. I was like, that's not
It's not
bad
bad.
actually.
It's because it's a decent place to live and play. Like it's not that bad. So like, and
Yeah, look at like your just general people too. Like I mean, I come into contact doing what I do with so many people every week, and like I hear all the time people like, "Oh no, I wasn't born here, but I moved here at some point and I
yep,
stayed because I loved it so much." Like
yep.
it is a good place, and there's not like a ton of pressure for these players. Like you can come and be successful and stuff. Like I don't know, it's if you change the culture and you create a winning team, that will fix it. Like players will come.
Okay, we're gonna switch topics here because you said not a lot of pressure. I know a guy that plays on the West Coast that's dealing with a lot of pressure right now that I think would look really good in a Sabres uniform, and his name is Elias Pettersson. He
For a
is
second, I
going.
thought you were gonna go. I thought you were going with Jack Eichel. I'm like, and then you
Oh
said
yeah,
he'd
yeah.
look good in a Sabres uniform. I'm like, nah, it's not him.
So so we got to talk about that real quick because wow, that's an absolute shit show going on in Vancouver. Like this whole feud between Pettersson and JT Miller. No one knows really what's happening, but they definitely hate each other. They can't even play on the same line. They can't even play on the same power play. Teammates talk about it like in the media that like this is something that happened like years ago and they just won't let it go and it keeps
It's gonna
festering.
be like a
The
30 for
fucking
31 there.
GM Rutherford's out there saying like it's an untenable relationship, and then they end up trading JT Miller to Vancouver to the Rangers. And it's like, holy shit, dude! Like, they really traded JT Miller, who's a great player. They did get a nice little return, and they parlayed the first round pick that they got in that trade to trade for defenseman Marcus Pettersson from
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, who was like a target of mine. I wish we would have been in there, but he just got
So they
re-signed.
have 3 Pedersens now.
Yeah, isn't that sick? They have like a bounty on all the Petterssons.
Man, they're trying to get a whole
Dude, they're
line of
like,
Pedersens.
were you a Yu-Gi-Oh kid growing up or no?
Oh hell yeah!
Okay, so they're like
Dark
getting
Magician, baby,
they're
Blue
like
Eyes White
getting
Dragon. Let's go.
they're getting Exodia, but all the Pedersons.
Exodia. Okay, no joke. I'm gonna tell a quick Yu-Gi-Oh story real quick. It's not gonna
Yeah,
be long, but I got into Yu-Gi-Oh and we were away at Lake George, which is, if you don't know New York, it's like Adirondack area, about like 6 hours from Buffalo. So we were on vacation. I'm opening up a couple packs of Yu-Gi-Oh cards with my cousin. You know my cousin Keith. Shout out to
yep.
Keith. He does not listen to this podcast. He will never hear this, but shout out to him anyways. And this was his first pack he'd ever opened. I had a bunch. Like I got into it a couple weeks before him. He gets the arm of like there's 5
Oh
pieces,
my,
right?
yeah,
So he pulls out this card and he's like, "Oh, I got an arm. What is this?" And I look at it. I'm like, "Dude, you have no idea how rare that is." I'm like, "You need 4 more of these pieces and you'll win like every battle." It was just so funny.
that's awesome. Those
But
used to
go
be
ahead
so
with what
fun.
you were saying.
So no, they're just collecting the Pedersons. But so Petey, actually, it's so funny. So it's EP40 for his jersey, but the Pedersen critics on Twitter are calling him EP116 for his $11.6 million contract. I kind of love that. I think that's hilarious. But yeah, if somehow I don't think they were really. I think
So that's the
after the
question. Should we still be in on him?
I think we should, but I mean, I think with JT Miller going to New York, they're going to give Petey some time to refine his game and revisit it later. But I do think that's something that we should be all over.
I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah. Why are you out? Tell me there are valid reasons for being out. Why are you out?
I think I'm out because it's just like I think right now it's the Sabres are it's very hard for us to find a Jason Zucker where like someone comes here and gets better. That's not a reason. I understand it's not a reason to not try. You still have to try and make your team better and things and still try and find those right players. I guess I'm just skeptical for like an $11.6 million player to be that guy. And he's been kind of a head case over the last couple years, and it just doesn't look good on the ice, man. Like I know
It
he's going
doesn't,
through a
dude.
funk, but like
It
I
doesn't.
I like I'm a Canucks fan. Like I kind of like took them under my wing last season,
Yep.
and I watch a lot of their games, and it doesn't really look that good on the ice right now, and it hasn't really looked great since Miller left either. So I don't know. I kind of feel like he's just kind of like a soft player too, and it's just more of what we don't need. Like, I don't know. I just wonder about the like his mental game there, and if it can't work there, is it going to work here? And that's a lot of risk to assume. And not that I'm like totally like against like the proposed trade was like Cousins and Byram for him, and
Yeah.
like
I mean, if that were to be a thing, then you kind of have to. But since
Yeah, but
they.
I like Byram, so I don't want to
Yeah,
give
me
up
too.
Byram for
Yeah.
him. Like I'd be fine with Cousins. I'd send Cousins and Samuelson. I'd try and change it up a little bit, but like I don't know, like or I mean I'd said Cousins, Samuelson, and somebody else for him too. Like so, if you can package the right deal, like whatever. But I just don't want to give away assets that I actually like. There's not many that are like that, but I don't know. I think I'm kind of out on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think with them, signing Marcus Pettersson to a long-term deal yesterday, I think that kind of takes Bull Byram off off their wish list, like to say, because then they have a bunch of left-hand shots already, like Quinn Hughes. They have Pettersson, then Byram, and it's like I don't think they want to operate like that.
Yeah.
But so
I
I
think
still would
the
explore it.
emergence of Kulik maybe softens the urgency of me for that a little bit because if Kulik's playing like a good center, so you know I don't know you have him there, which you didn't really have before. So if he can
Yeah,
be a top six center, which he's playing that right now, then I don't know. I mean, I
yeah,
feel like
that's
a
some found
little
money
bit
there.
better.
Well, not really. I would shouldn't even say found money because he's been tearing it up for years in Rochester. So like this is it's not expected how well he's playing, but it is encouraging to see him uh playing so well at like this level. Like, dude, I don't know about you, but so for a long time, pretty much like my whole like hockey fan like life, like even when I was like a kid, I just loved prospects. Like I love prospects. I love watching guys that are like 16 years old. Like I want to see the next guys like do their thing at like the under 17 tournaments and the under 18 tournaments and the World Juniors. Like I was really big on that. And even their games that I'll like, if I'm bored, I'll throw on a fucking Prince George Cougars game, like just to see like Western Hockey League kids. Now, I could not care less. I'll be stoked about a prospect or two, but you have to show me that you can play at the NHL level. I've been so tainted by young players here, like either leaving and being good elsewhere, or like being here
Yeah,
and not fulfilling their full potential, that it's so encouraging for me to see Yuri Kulik not really breaking out in like a traditional sense where it's like the league is like holy shit, like who is this guy, but for the people that are watching like night in and night out, he is noticeable and good every single night.
yeah. And we don't have to go down that whole because you can open a whole new can of worms with like the Sabres needing to like revamp their development program and like bring in like some actual assistant coaches to help these guys develop. But I think Kulik is like Kulik and Benson are like a couple examples of like again guys that like the Sabres I feel like shouldn't really get credit for developing because I maybe Kulik a little bit more, but like I just kind of feel like those guys are just kind of exceptions to the rules and like they're gonna just be good NHLers anyways. Kulik's NHL game right now, like it is an NHL game. Like he's
Yeah, it
playing
is. It's impressive.
good good hockey. He's only behind Macklin Celebrini in 5-on-5 scoring for rookies. Like I mean,
Wow.
there's
And he came in halfway through the year.
the NHL fantasy show that I listened to. They were just actually mentioned Yuri Kulik this week, and they were basically saying like, listen, this is a guy you should be paying attention to. They're like he might actually get a couple heart or a couple Calder votes. Like he's not going to win it obviously over Macklin Celebrini unless he just goes on like an absolute tear
Right.
to finish the season, and he's playing on the top line, so he could. But I don't know. It's just he's starting to garner some interest league wide, and there's like what they wanted him to improve on, like being stronger on the puck and winning faceoffs and being decisive with his shot. Like he's done all that. He's done what they've asked him, and he's been one of our more competent players this season. So yeah, I think he's up to stay, and he's filled a much needed hole for the Sabres because sliding Thompson over to the wing has also proved to be a good move as well.
Yeah. And I think Lindy said that was due to injury, but like
Initially,
I don't understand what type of injury could cause you to be able to rip 107-mile-per-hour slap shots, but not be able to take face-offs.
yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, but I will say,
Unless
dude,
it was the wrist, like, yeah, that's the thing. Like you said, I don't know because I'm just thinking like there could be a lot. I never played hockey, so I don't
yeah.
know the physics there. But yeah, yeah,
But dude, Kulik, I've said this a million times that he's just a better NHL center, just at doing things a center does than Dylan Cousins has been in like 300 NHL games.
hmm
So it's just encouraging to see. I love that kid so much, and he's hot.
yeah, yeah.
He's got a chin and a jaw that we could kill for. The guy probably he does like he
Yeah,
probably
he's
makes like He makes a killing on the chip strip, dude.
The chip strips. He does have a nice jawline. He does have a
He
nice
does. It's
jawline.
insane. He's 20 years old. How do you have a jawline that crazy at 20?
Well, it's exciting because he's filling a need for the Sabres, and here's the thing. It's like the Sabres right now, as far as like center depth goes, you have McLeod, who I like McLeod. Like he's a good centerpiece. Well, not a centerpiece, but he's a good centerman, third, fourth line, whatever. Kulik now developing. You have Greenway, who we can talk about if we're going to be extending him or not. But like Greenway, I feel like is a serviceable center. So you have three decent center options there. You probably need, one more. I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody. I mean, as far as like guys we could realistically see kind of carrying on the torch as far as like next season goes. But like that's 3 out of 4 decent centers. You probably need to get, another fourth one or get another prospect, whoever, but that's where Pedersen could fill a need, I know, but I don't know. Greenway's kind of forgotten about sitting on the IR there too.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just really distracted because I think Josh Allen just won MVP.
Oh, that would be sick if he did.
Yeah, I think it just leaked out that he just won MVP.
Well, yeah, well that show might be ending now. If you're listening to this, you already know. But I hope our boy did, man. He deserves it. But I think
Yep,
we're
he did.
pretty. I don't.
Suck it, Ravens fans.
So he really did.
Yeah,
Oh, dude, that's
that's what
sweet.
I think Tracy Wolfson just tweeted it out, and like a couple people also did. The show's not over yet, so it could be fake. But I mean, Tracy Wolfson is an NFL reporter, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But we'll see. We'll see.
Now that's all we have to hear for the next three
Yeah,
days is why he didn't deserve it.
yeah. But okay, you were talking about Greenway. Refresh my memory what you said because I forgot. I was
I
really
was
distracted by that.
I was talking about center depth
Okay.
and just kind of like again we were talking about Kulik and his emergence. So just kind of thinking for
Oh, for
like
the future.
reasonably for next season, like you have McLeod. I like Greenway. I think he's fine. So like you kind of have like I think your third and fourth centers could be Greenway and McLeod on your bottom
Yeah.
two lines, and then
I
you
don't think
have
I would want
Kulik.
Greenway to play center again, though. That was like a Granado experiment, really, and it didn't really work out. But he could play. He could come back. I would like him to come back. But Krebs plays center though. That's another one.
I know. I do like Krebs, but I don't know. So like that's the thing. It's like you kind of have like two. I feel like you have like two of your four centers defined,
Yep.
but and that's where Pedersen makes sense for a lineup. I know because he is a centerman, but I don't know. I don't know. That's just a team me going into the season and something I and well because this is assuming Cousins is gone because we still have Dylan Cousins
Right.
like
I mean, and
on
we're
this
gonna get
team.
assets for him. I mean, dude. So the Cousins chatter, we can get into that. It's out of control right now. Like
I know.
I, so
I don't want him to stay because that was kind
I
of
don't
another
either.
whole.
I
That
don't
was
either.
kind of another reason I was going there is because like I don't really want Cousins to be one of those center options. Like
Yeah,
I
I
like
I
Kulik, I like
completely agree.
McLeod. Figure out what you're gonna do with those other two.
Yeah, I completely agree with you here. The chatter on Cousins though is hilarious to me because it's clear to me that between the things that Friedman has said and Kevin Weeks and all these other guys and like uh Cousins has real value out there. Someone
For sure.
in the NHL, these 31 other GMs, they think that Dylan Cousins is the next young player to leave Buffalo and win a Stanley Cup. And I will say that Dylan Cousins has never touched the ability of a Sam Reinhart or Jack Eichel. So if
No.
these guys want to get themselves in a tizzy and slap give us some nice assets for them, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think that's a move I want to see. It's crazy. This is this shows the dysfunction because last year we traded our captain, and this year we're we're pounding the table to trade two of our alternate captains. Like, what is this team doing? Like, oh my gosh, it's just
Uh,
crazy.
Dude, so I got to give Kevin Adams some props for something because so Adams, the rumors for Cousins was like, okay, it's in the Pedersen trade, the Pedersen trade, the Pedersen trade. They love Cousins, blah blah blah. That's all you really heard about Cousins. Well, the other day, Kevin Weeks, who I think Kevin Weeks runs point for Adams, like that's his insider. Because if you remember, before he traded Eichel to Vegas, like a day before, Kevin Weeks posted that the Flames or the Sabres were interested in Matthew Tkachuk before he got traded to Florida, and like the Flames were going to trade, one for one Tkachuk for Eichel. So I think like when we want to get a player's name
That would
out
have
there
been
and get
sick.
some interest, we got to get. Oh my God, can you imagine? That's why it was never going to happen. When we want to get some interest out there, like Kevin Weeks is our guy. Like so, Kevin Weeks tweets out yesterday.
How does that work? Like Adams lets
Yeah,
him
he's
know.
like, hey, he probably is like, hey, can you tweet this out for me? I want to show some interest. I guarantee that's how it goes.
I see,
So,
I see, I see. Okay, I just
so
never understood that those
he
inner
tweeted,
workings.
he tweeted some shit like, Dylan Cousins is attracting interest on the trade market, and then he tagged. This is the brilliance here. This is the brilliance. He tagged Vancouver. He tagged the Flames. He tagged uh, he could have tagged Carolina, but then the team that he tagged to get the most interest, the Leafs. What are Leaf fans going to do? They're going to do mock trades on the new cap friendly website. They're going to tweet about, oh my God, we got to get Dylan Cousins. We got to get Dylan Cousins. That's going to make the league go crazy for this guy and think that he's good. So all the Leafs propaganda, I love it. I love it. Just drum up the interest. Keep drumming up that interest, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, we're moving on. We're definitely moving on from Dylan Cousins. But yeah, that's what you got to do. I mean, if that's what he's doing, like you said, you gotta.
His name is out there, dude. It's just out there. He has to go.
Yeah,
It's too much smoke.
I would be surprised if he doesn't go, and I'd love Samuelson to go too. I think if there's anything else you want to talk about players, I feel like we kind of hit everything. We can save some of the extensions talks for some of the later shows.
Yeah, I feel like we should
But
do extension talk like closer to the deadline if like we do
or
end up
afterwards
having to
when we
trade the
know.
guys.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Or just after, that's fine. But or even off season, like whatever. We got time for that. But I do want to talk about Rob Ray Night. I feel like we should touch on that
Oh yeah, what a great
before
night.
we sign off. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so here's my thing with Rob Ray. I was there. I went to the game on Friday night and Sunday night for the Sabrehood or Sunday, right? Here's my gripe with this whole process, and this is the thing with the Sabres that, and maybe there was a reason for this. Maybe you can explain it to me if I'm just totally off base here. I'm going to say my gripe first, and then I'm going to talk about how great Rob Ray Knight was because it was
Okay.
awesome. I'm not going to go negative here, but this is just a thought I had afterwards. So you have Rob Ray Knight on a Friday. It's a work day. It's a work day.
Yeah,
So
I know what you're gonna say.
you have the ceremony at 6. I didn't even know. I went with my mother-in-law. We're walking around. It's like 5:58. My mother-in-law looks at me and goes, "You know what, Matt? I think the ceremony's starting soon. It's 5:50." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "That doesn't make sense." I'm like, so I asked the usher there. I'm like, "Hey, guy, is the is this ceremony starting soon?" He's like, "Yeah, you got 2 minutes. Get to your seat." I'm like, "What the?" I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm like,
Yeah.
so we go to our seats. I almost would have missed it. I'm like, this is bizarre. And sure as shit, starts 6 o'clock, and in the stadium's only like the arena's only like half full at that time.
Yep.
Maybe like 60% full. And I'm thinking to myself, like, well, I'm watching this live.
Can you see
What?
that?
Yeah, let's go, Josh. So I'm thinking to myself at this time, why did we make this decision? Because it's gonna look like the arena's not full when I know this place is gonna be jam packed full at puck drop, which it was. Now, fast forward to I'm driving home on Sunday night. Like I said, I was up in Canada with my wife for or Sunday afternoon. I was up in Canada with my wife for our anniversary on Saturday. We stayed at Niagara on the Lake, right? Coming home,
Yep.
and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? We don't got nothing to do. Let's go to a Sabres game, right? Why? The Sabres were playing at 1 on that Sunday. So in your heads, if you're the Sabres, you know your schedule. You know when you're playing 82 games during the season. Why would you think, let's do Rob Ray's night on a Friday night at 6 when people are working instead of literally 2 days later at a 1 o'clock on a Sunday?
Yeah. Okay. Why was it at 6 o'clock? Like I don't
Well,
understand.
that's problem one.
Okay, every time the Friday night is great. Like I don't have a problem with Friday night. I think that's fine.
So Friday at 6 is the problem. But if you were
Yes,
gonna do like, who's the genius who said Friday at 6 instead of Sunday at 1, and or just said Friday at like
7.
6:40
Friday
or
at 7.
7 and have
Friday
puck
at
drop at
7.
7:30?
Yeah, that's what happened the other times they've done nights. When I went to Rec Generate night, it was be in your seat by 6:45.
Yeah,
When
I
it
couldn't believe it.
was Hashik night, be in your seat by 6:45. The Sabres dropped the ball here, like
Yeah,
massively. I
yeah.
don't understand why they started at 6. I'm in complete agreement.
Yeah, and
Complete
and it, and
agreement.
it looked awful because you like the pictures of that night. You see the stadium and or the stands, and it's like they're like partially empty. And I'm like,
Yep.
I'm shaking my head the whole time because I'm like, if they would have just pushed this back like 45 minutes, it would have been just like RJ night. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a little bit of a gripe with that, but that aside, the night itself was awesome. They showed the ceremony on TV, right? You could see all that.
Yeah, it was really cool on TV. How was it? So in person it must have been really nice too, besides the
Yeah.
just like a seat night.
Okay, so we had great seats for this. We were row 15. We're on the side the Sabres shoot twice, and we were on the side where Rob was going to be coming out from the tunnel,
Hmm.
so we could see him come out. Right. I told you I went with my mother-in-law Dawn. She's so excited to see Rob Ray come out. She's got her phone ready. She's going to take a picture. The second before these people come like 2 minutes before the ceremony is about to start. These people come and they have to get in our row, and they're a mess, and they're getting their shit together, and we got to move all our bags. We miss Rob Ray coming out of the thing, the one thing that Dawn wanted to see. But it was really nice, man. It was really cool. They had some like a nice video on the board. Brad May's speech was really good before kind of introducing Rob Ray, and then Ray's speech was just like so authentic to him. Like he kept it light, and he said all his thank yous and things. But just a really fun night. Just a little bit disappointed in like the time, because I think they could have had a better environment for it. But they did some things throughout the night too. Like at each intermission, they showed like some more highlights, and they had Ty Domi. Did you see that? Did they show that on TV?
Yeah, they did.
They showed him like saying like he did like his like I
Little
love you
message.
buddy thing. Yeah,
Yep.
okay, yeah, yeah. So they showed
Dude,
his
they
message
had
on TV. That was cool.
oh yeah, I remember so the Sabres won an Emmy a couple of years ago for the video that they did on Ty Domi and Rob Ray, like all the fights that they had over the years when
Huh.
Domi was like the Leafs and stuff. It's a really good like little 15-minute video that they did on that a
No
couple years ago,
shit.
and they won an award. It was pretty good, man. But yeah, that's so cool. I know they're friends, and that's awesome.
Yeah. So it was a really really cool night. It like that's what grinds my gears even more about what happened with this Tage hit. It's like, dude, you just had that video about Rob
I
Ray,
know,
like
right?
the literally like the pinnacle of like who's gonna stick up for his guys and be the
Yep.
best teammate ever. And then they did that. I'm like, oh my god, it wasn't the same night. Granted, it was the next game, but it's like, dude, like this team just struggles to like grasp onto anything you can and just let it ride, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's wild. That's so wild. This team, man. This team.
All right, is that gonna be it? Should we?
Yeah, I think we can end it on Rob Ray night. I run it on a positive note.
I just got a text from Katie, all caps. Josh Allen won MVP. That's
Let's
awesome.
go, dude. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, we'll end it on Rob Ray. That is a nice positive note to end on. I think we did a good job though. I think we kept it somewhat light, which is good.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough. All right, here, let's end it on this, the ultimate positive note. How many games in a row do the Sabres need to win to get you back in?
Okay, so they only play two more times before the break, right?
I think just once. I'll double check.
Oh, just once.
I'm pretty sure they just have Nashville Saturday and then it's the break.
It would be so Sabres to have a 5-game winning streak get broken up by like a 2 or 3 week like hiatus.
Yeah, they
So
play
they're
they play
they're gonna win.
Nashville on Saturday, and then they don't play for basically 2 weeks. Their next game is the second Saturday.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna say they win this game and they come back and lose their first game back because why you can't? There's no more momentum at that point. But they're beating Nashville because Nashville's putrid.
But you didn't answer my question. How many games do they have to? So that's what you're predicting. But in theory, like how many games would they have to win in a row if they could to get you back in?
See, I ignored the question because it's
I
not.
know, I know.
If they okay, so for real, they'd have to win like 14 in a row.
14 in a row, so they need
Like
another 10.
another 10 game win streak here, and then I'll be like locked in.
10
But
won't do it. 10. Oh, another 10 plus, like what they
yeah,
have.
yeah, we
Yeah,
already got
yeah,
four. Another 10 plus.
yeah. Like I think honestly, I think realistically, because say they're like 12 points out right now, right?
Yeah. Oh
So
my God. Yes. It's never been more over.
if they won six more and got to 10, that's the 12 points. But then that's assuming no other teams get points. So you'd have to get to, you're probably right. You probably have to get to 14 to like
Just to be in
realistically
it.
be back in the race,
That's
and
insane.
then
Oh
you'd
my
have to
God.
win more from there. So it's
They,
not
I
happening.
think
But
I read they needed to be at like a 117 point pace to even like make it close to 94
yeah, just play
points.
like the President's Cup trophy or
Yeah,
President's Trophy
yeah.
winning team. Crazy,
This team,
crazy.
that's so funny. Do you
All
think
right,
they win? Do you think they win their last game before the break? Because we're probably gonna
dude.
talk before then, right?
So I'm kind of like, this is my feeling about the Sabres right now is that I this season is what it is. I think I have to be done with just like being pissed off about things because I do see some of the good amidst that 13 game losing streak, and I do see them playing good hockey. I'm hopeful that they're gonna make some moves at the deadline and kind of identify some pieces to do going forward. So I think they can be close to turning things around. And I think they're going to play good hockey at the end of the season, not because that's what they do, not because they're the Sabres and these games are meaningless and they don't care. Like there's all those narratives from fans and things, which I mean are fair. Like I get it, but
Yeah.
also I honestly think they're going to play pretty good hockey for the next few months because I think Lindy's getting them to play better. I think he's doing the best he can with what he has right now, and again, they've done good outside of that losing streak. So I truly just think they're going to play kind of good hockey for the rest of the stretch here, and that would be fun and exciting. And if they can, make a couple moves on top of it, then I'd be even more happy. So we'll just see how it
Yeah.
plays out.
Good hockey followed up by good moves will lead us into the hopefully an exciting summer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I don't know. There's a lot that we have to be shown, and they have to prove it more from GM as far as the moves go. I think the team can play good, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
all right, Saberhood. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this show. We will see everybody in the next episode. As always, if you don't follow us on our socials, follow us on X. That's all in the show notes down there. If you have questions for the show or want to submit a question for us to answer, it could be about anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be about the Sabres. It could be about anything. The email address is in the show notes below. And we will see everybody in the next episode. As always, stay safe in the Sabrehood, and we'll catch you later. See you.
See ya.